In relation to this topic about this movie breakdown, this is all about soul family, soul connections, and those soul connections can be in the dynamics of a myriad of different relationships, okay? And with this one, we're really talking about soulmate as well as twin flames. And so religion plays a big part in this. And that's what this movie is all about, coming together to become one with your true soul's calling and your soul partner. So some of the topics I'm going to cover in this video, and especially in the PDF, it will be like the storyline a little bit. Thank you for sharing the video out. The storyline, the characters, and the archetypes of the characters. And the archetypes also include some of the symbolism with the buildings and the structures, because those are all characteristics that embody the overall theme of what the story is. Another topic will be the symbolism in religion, specifically honing in on the Bible. As you guys know that I teach from the Bible and not in the traditional sense. So, peruse my page if you're new here. Relationship models, traditional, soulmate, like soul connections, and twin flame. Divine feminine and divine masculine. So these are some of the topics that we're going to touch on in this presentation. Hello, divine ones. Hello. Minister Ashley here. I'm sorry that I am a little late. I had to set up the live like 3 times, but anyways, I am here and I am happy to present this movie breakdown pretty much. So for those that do not know, I initially started this ministry related to soul connections, specifically twin flames. Since then I have branched out, for those that have been following me for a while. So this movie, I just seen it last night, it's really good. I am a horror and sci-fi fan. But besides just like the horror and the gore of it, this has a deep psychological meaning, but also symbolic, especially related to religion and soul connections. So for those that did not know, that I did a presentation about souls and soulmates, and that was I think it was a couple Thursdays ago. So for those that are members, that you can download that PDF, and that will be available across the multiple platforms. In relation to this topic about this movie breakdown, this is all about soul family, soul connections, and those soul connections can be in the dynamics of a myriad of different relationships, okay? And with this one, we're really talking about soulmate as well as twin flames. And so religion plays a big part in this. It really does play a big part in this, and I'm going to get into that. So I do have some notes. As you guys know, I always have notes. And by midnight tonight, for the members, I will have this PDF posted, and I will go into a lot more than what I'm going to talk about right now. I don't want to get too elaborate, because you know how I can really layer on a lot of the occult and esoteric meanings, okay? So just a brief synopsis. And this is according to The Hollywood Reporter. Okay, the couple grapples with their emotional struggles, including intimacy issues and their fear of commitment. The film delves into the themes of codependency and intimacy, the impact of isolation on love, using body horror as a metaphor for their deteriorating relationship. So the primary characters that I'm going to focus on in this movie is Millie, longtime girlfriend, divine feminine, and she's pretty much taking on a new job as a teacher. So this movie is all about teaching us, and teaching primarily through the characters, about relationships and how relationships can transform over time. And one of the common themes is about change and transformation. So through relationships, we learn more about ourselves. It's the art of relating to the mirror aspect of ourselves. Tim, a longtime boyfriend, a divine masculine, and he's a musician. He plays like the guitar, and I don't know what else he does, but as far as like playing the guitar. And so he has like they both have friends, and both of their friends, you have like the male, the divine masculine, the pretty much, I would say, unawakened divine masculine in this stage of his life. He is still struggling to find his self-identity. And with Millie, she seems to have more of an idea of who she is and where her purpose is. And she would be still not the complete awakened divine feminine, because they both are resisting some level of change. And we have Jamie, and he's going to come later in the story, and he's the teacher and the spiritual, almost like a spiritual guide or figure. So let's tap into Soulmates. Yeah, it's a lot of symbolism in this movie as well as in religion. Back to the soulmate. For Aristotle, most friendships exist for selfish reasons, motivated by a desire either for pleasure, such as playmates, and playmates can mean many things. Okay, so you use your imagination with that. Or for profit, such as workmates. Relatively few friendships are genuine, being motivated by a desire for shared values, such as soulmates. So we talked about this a couple weeks ago about soul family, and you have many dynamics with soul connections in the soul family. And so there's like so many ideologies around soulmates, soul family, soul connections, and that also includes the scope of twin flames. The Greek mythology of soulmates, as introduced by Plato in his dialogue, The Symposium, explains that humans were originally created with 4 arms, 4 legs, and a head with 2 faces. Okay, so I'm going to break this down too. So this is another discussion that we had about Adam and Lilith. So I did do a presentation with Lilith, about Lilith, I think it was last week, and the PDF will be on the Discord. Okay, so in Jewish folklore, Adam and Lilith were created at the same time, and they were created in this manner with 2 sets of arms, 2 sets of legs, and 2 faces, whether it be 2 heads or 2 faces. And this is another play on what they did in this movie. As you will see in the presentation, there is a motif almost like about being paired or being wrongly paired with the wrong soul that incarnates with like 2 bodies that are connected. And this could also be like a karmic connection, a connection that 2 souls are sent here for a karmic reason. So if you believe in reincarnation, this could be an aspect of that, where 2 souls are paired in the physical realms, but they're not spiritually compatible, if you will. Okay, so in the very beginning of the movie, so there will be some spoilers. Let me also say that too. It's going to be some spoilers. Okay, in the beginning of the movie, there is a 2-headed dog. So there were 2 separate dogs. Okay, but they drank of this water, of this sacred fountain. And so anyway, this water, I'm gonna get to that in a little bit. Okay, so what happens is that they end up merging together, and they have 2 heads. So that means that they are 2 separate souls, almost like karmic souls, that inhabit one body. And this is going to be important as I continue on. Okay, so later on, I'm trying to figure out how many spoilers I want to spill in this presentation. I know some people probably have not seen the movie. The name of the movie is Together. It's in movie theaters now. I can block them. Okay, yeah, I could do that. Let me go back and see. Moving on, I'm not going to really focus on like the very beginning of the movie. I'm going to move on to when they moved to the house. So he had, of course, his set of friends there that he didn't really want to leave, because she had the job to become a teacher in this rural country area. So that meant from them moving from an apartment to a home. So the apartment represents like, okay, yeah, we're doing this thing. It's cute. Yeah, we're cohabitating, but we're not really that serious. From the apartment in the city with all your friends, all your distractions, to an isolated area where there is just them 2 together in a home, and they bought the home. They were purchasing the home. So it's more of a commitment. It's something that's more serious. He decides to do one more gig to go back to the city. I'm trying to figure out like how much details I want to give without like ruining the experience for you guys. So anyways, like he still wants to, focus on his career, and she's already moving ahead in her career, like physically moving ahead in her career. All right, so when they get to the house, he has this sense of smelling something. She doesn't smell it. So long story short, he finds a group of rats that are grouped together, almost like in this circular motion, by their tails. And it's one rat that is still alive. So for me, that symbolically represents like him, because he was the one that had a sense by smell that something was off, something was dead, and he found the rats grouped together. So this represents for him, he is still is a part of him that is connected to his old friend group, to his old identity. And that one rat that was alive represented him still holding on. And the rest of the rats, they were, deceased. They passed on. So this pretty much is symbolically saying that sometimes when you have your friend groups, or you may have even family, it may be time to move on from that friend group or from that soul connection, because it's ciphering energy from you. They decide to go on a walk together. And it starts to rain, and they lose their direction, and they fall into this pit, into a cave. So the cave represents like dark repressed memories, dark repressed feelings, the shadow self. So he ends up sharing a repressed memory of what happened to him when he was a child. And I'm not going to spill the beans on that, because I don't want to spoil the movie for others that may want to go watch it. So anyway, he shares this intimate moment that he never told her. They've been together for years, but he never told her. And as far as I remember, he never told his friends or anybody. He never spoke about it. And it happened with his father and his mother. I'm going to leave it just like that. That's it. That's all I'm going to share, okay? And well, before he shares that, he wakes up out of his sleep, and he almost like in a panic. So he's breathing really heavily, and like he's almost losing his breath. And when he looks over at her, she's laying down and she's breathing really slow, like she's having a hard time breathing. So they're both having separate panic attacks, and sometimes that can happen, maybe not to the degree of panic attacks, but when people are merging, when they're becoming one. So this movie is about two separate individuals that are part of a soul family that are merging to become one. So then that's when he shares his repressed memory. And this is also where we see the first connection that happens with them, where their two legs are stuck together, but he writes it off as it being like mildew or something. But they also drank of the water too, of that fountain. I almost forgot that. My bad about that. Talk karmic and soul. Yep. Okay. I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit more, about the karmic soul ties and stuff. Okay, so he has like another panic episode, a couple of them, and so she takes him to the doctor, and the doctor prescribes them a medicine that I do not remember. I wish I had took a screenshot of it, because something was telling me to, but I don't know. I didn't want to disturb the movie. I was into the movie. But anyway, so he prescribes him something for his panic attacks that he used to take a long time ago. And from there, when the next episode that they have where they're drawn together, that they couldn't fight it, that he tells her to also take that medicine at the same time. And what he was explaining is that it slows down the brain patterns, so that way the reaction that they're having of coming together will cause that reaction to slow down. So for me, the process of falling in love, like I did some research about the process of falling in love and what happens chemically. So you have various chemicals that happen in the brain and the body. You have oxytocin here, dopamine, the cortisol levels become irregulated, and all of this is the process of falling in love. So this is symbolically saying that, okay, you have two people that are having a reaction to coming closer and closer together. That is a scary process, but it's a process of something that could turn out to be one of the most beautiful experiences in your life. Going to the other character, one of the other main characters in the movie, his name is Jamie, and he's the teacher. So it seems like he has a crush on Millie. Him and her have like this chemistry, and so they have this chemistry. I'm gonna leave it like that. Okay, they have this chemistry, and it makes it seem like they could end up coming together in a karmic partnership, if you will. But that doesn't happen. So I am going to spill some spoilers right now, okay? So what ends up happening is that, like, she's frustrated, so she goes over his house. I think she left her keys over there or something like that. And she goes over his house, and he shares with her about his divine partnership. So he is actually was in the same gender relationship, and his loved one passed on, but really his loved one did not pass on. Really, his loved one merged with him. And we'll see this later on when she goes back after talking with him and having like almost like this connection with him, that he shows her, he's like, well, you know, if you just merge, if you just release all of the tension and just allow it to happen, then you can become one with your partner. And so pretty much he was saying that that's what happened with him and his partner. Him and his partner became so close that they merged together. I'll make this connection between what happened with the dogs, and the other couple that fell into the cave. Okay, so first of all, like I mentioned before, with the two animals that came together and they didn't merge properly. They had the 4 arms, 4 legs. Yeah, it was like 4 arms, 4 legs, and 2 heads. And they didn't merge together properly. The same thing happened with the couple that went missing in the very beginning of the movie. The house that they end up buying belonged to the couple that was missing. So you had the male and the female. They came together, but they came together mutated. So this represents like a karmic partnership. This represents 2 souls that aren't meant to be together, or they meant to be together only for a specific time and for a specific purpose. Tying this into religion, so many, and even societal norms, so many people opt out of a true soulmate connection for the karmic partnership, that they don't merge properly. You have 2 heads, they have 2 separate identities, 2 separate thought patterns, 2 separate goals in life, and they're trying to still stay together because of finances, because of what will my parents say, what will my friends say, what about the children, and knowing that children, that's another factor of the movie too, like the children playing in the background. One of the meanings is that the children, they can feel, they can know. Eventually when they get older, they will see what happened. They will just know through their own personal introspection. They will realize that it was something that was always off in this connection, and they could repeat that karmic cycle, or they could be the ones that break it. And at least for Tim, he ended up breaking that cycle when he merged with her at the end, which I'm going to get into, but I really want to hone in on this point. So with religion, our society, all societies pretty much, are based off of religion. So they take the common norms of the religion and they form the society around the morals within that religion. So for some people, okay, let me back up, because I need to make this point real quick before I go into this next point. Okay, the couple. All right, so in traditional Christianity, they say that so the man leaves the mother and the father, and he comes together with the woman. They become one flesh. But what about same gender relationships? Where do they fall in? And religion has made that to be something that is negative, that 2 people that may be soulmates and that happen to incarnate in the same gender body, that they're not allowed to be together. But Jamie represents, in this story, he represents 2 true soulmates. Him and his partner represents 2 true soulmates that are meant to be together, but they just happen to be in the same gender body, but they merged perfectly. Okay, and so this is where religion sort of kind of can play into the motif of this movie. We have another couple, the couple that lived in the house previously. I don't remember their names though, but they were male and female. But when they merged together, what happened? They became a mutation, and that is representative of karmic partners that, while on the outside may seem like they fit together, but they really did not fit together on a soul level. I have to also bring up the symbolism with the cave. Let me go back to with the church, the cave and the house represents, and also the attic. That was another player, if you will, or character in the film. So the cave is dark, wet, underground, and it represents the shadow self. It represents what is hidden. What was hidden in the cave was the couple that, according to the church, which this happened under a church, that cave was under the church because the church collapsed. So as many people that feel like they have to hide their true self, they have to hide what they have incarnated to be, whether it be a person that is meant to be in the same gender relationship, or if they are meant to be a teacher when their family wants them to be this or that, whatever it may be. They're hiding from their true soul's calling, and it can only hide for so long. And a lot of times this is covered up by religion. So the church represents the religion. This also happens where what also takes place in a church is sacred practices, ceremonies, the merging of worship, which they have a part in the film towards the end with the Eucharist and all of the sacred practices and rituals that they did before the church had collapsed into the cave. This is also symbolic about what's happening with religion in the modern world. Religion eventually will collapse, but that's for a side note. Okay, so with that Eucharist, and I talk about this on the members, the membership, about the worship. The Eucharist represents the worship of the sex through worship, if you will, because the Eucharist, what it represents like a masculine and a feminine, not gender specific, but a masculine and a feminine coming together to become one. And that's what this movie is all about, coming together to become one with your true soul's calling and your soul partner. Yeah, coming back together. Yeah, coming back to the self, because really, like a soulmate or a twin is like the mirror opposite of you, but also the mirror of you, if you will, because it brings out the qualities that were repressed within you. And that's what's going on, like merging together. Let me see. Okay, this symbolism. Let me go back to here. Okay, the sacred ceremonies, the act of coming together. I have in my other notes, I had paper notes. I left them. So together, if you look at the word to, T-O, and then gather, to coming together, to gather together, if you get what I'm saying. And that represents the soul family coming together, gather around, and coming together to merge. And your soul purpose, that is number one. So that's another thing that they were, especially Tim, was grappling with. He was grappling with his soul purpose. He was feeling lost. On the bell, there was a big bell that was at the very top of this cave that was on the top of the church. All right, so it had a sun symbol. And then it had a spiral representing awakening, the awakening that happens when soul family comes together. Okay, we start our awakening journey different places. Sometimes these soul connections can be family members, or they can be complete strangers. It could be someone all the way across the world. And we are in the age of Aquarius, so the good thing about the age of Aquarius, it represents soul family. And you see that soul families are coming together more and more as we continue to awaken. Okay, awakening happens in alliance with soul purpose and finding your soul family, and then also your soulmate, or even twin flame, if you will. The bell at the church, at the top of the church being over top of a cave. Now, as a side note, I'm not going to really talk about soul partnerships right now, but as a side note, a lot of people have mentioned that there's so much hidden knowledge and stolen knowledge that is under the church, the main church, the Vatican. So when I seen that scene in the movie, the cave underneath of the church, and the church collapsed, I thought about that. In that cave was that fountain, that water that water that reveals the true self, if you will. Some people aren't ready to see their true self. They aren't ready to embody it. So they hide behind religion. And that's one factor that I've seen playing out in the movie, according to my mind, the way how I think. I don't know if this is what the director meant or the writer meant, but I can see the symbolism in the movie. Going back to that couple that did not merge, and then also the couple that did merge. The focal scripture that I thought of when they merged together at the very end was in Genesis 2:24. When they became one flesh, they merged together. The mother and the father came to visit. And who did they see? They seen Millie, but she was more masculine looking, like not completely like herself, and that represented like the complete merge of the two souls that come together, like how a twin flame would come together. But it's just symbolic, okay? In this scripture it reads, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. So let's break this down esoterically. A man, masculine. Woman, feminine. And we're not talking about specific gender. We're talking about archetypes here. And the mother and father just represents like an authority that may have more wisdom, more knowledge, that helps you on your soul's journey, if you will. They also represent, the mother and the father in the film also represents the old identity. So they were her parents, but it represents like him and her, because his parents already had passed on. But as they became one flesh and it became like one entity, that the mother and father represented the old ways, the old self, that they are the ascended or the awakened evolutionary male and female, masculine and feminine, because they are able to come together. While many generations, like our parents and our parents' parents, they came together out of necessity, or they came together because people checked off boxes. And that represents the old generation. As we are in the new age, in the age of Aquarius, which represents soul purpose, soul family, coming together with those that really vibrate and align with you, that they represented the awakened self, those that are truly on a soul level. They come together and they merge as one. Okay? Now, being that the reason why I believe on a higher level that they had Millie be the face of the merged self instead of Tim, is because of the divine feminine. I talk about this a lot. We are in the year of 2025, the year of 9, which is divine feminine awakening. And this represents, at the very end of the movie, this represents stepping out of the old tradition and going into the divine feminine energy. In John 1:1, the esoteric meaning, so I did have a video about the breakdown of the esoteric meaning of Mother's Day. And so this refers back to Ma, which is the beginning. And in that scripture, it speaks of like out of the darkness, out of the great void. What is that? That's the womb. And so out of the very beginning came the divine feminine, and then from there everything reaches out. So the divine feminine doesn't necessarily mean a woman. It means out of the great subconscious mind. So they had to go in the cave, which represents also the subconscious mind, because it represents the shadow self, to reach down deep within themselves to really pull out who they really were. They had to go to the lowest of the low. That's what it represents. What they say, hitting rock bottom. All right. Yeah, so I think that is all. Without spilling too many spoilers, I'm going to add a whole lot more notes to this. So if you're part of the members, I will post this on the Discord and send it out across the multiple platforms. You guys don't forget my latest book, The Bible's Hidden Divination and Magic, along with the journal. This right here is just like, it won't be on the journal. This is the author's copy right here. Almost 300 pages, all from biblical sources, historical references. I mean, I did so much work though. Anyways, Yeah, so you can check that out. It'll be on here as well as on Zon. You can find that link in the bio. And for those that don't know, I am writing a book about women and goddesses of the Bible, and I will dive into like topics sort of kind of like this. I'm about soul connections, because that does play a lot into finding oneself as well as coming together with the right soul family. Coming together with the right soul family, okay? And especially for, I'm gonna say for everybody, but you know, as we are in the divine feminine awakening, it's good to have sisterhood. Another thing I mentioned on the members with the weekly word, we're almost in 888 portal, the Lion's Gate, and that's the lionesses coming together. So we either, you know, make sure that we're supporting one another, that we're not bashing one another, because we all are victims of patriarchy. So, you know, keep that in mind. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And you can join the members for as little as $2.99 a month. I'm thinking about doing 333, like $3.33. That's what I've been thinking about. Not for more money, but more so like the number combination. You know, I like numbers. But anyways, all right, you guys, I'll talk to you later. Keep an eye out for this video. And if you are a member, then keep an eye out for the PDF. I'm going to upload it about midnight tonight on the Discord. Many blessings. Peace.